Welcome, and thank you for joining me today on our discovery of Senju Kannon Reiki. Senju Kannon Reiki is Reiki. However, there is a difference. I have been full-time tuning and teaching with Reiki, Usui Reiki, since the early 1990 something, 2 or 3. When I was first attuned to Reiki, Reiki training was a very different affair than it is now. And even then I knew that there were some very major and rather challenging differences in Reiki's teachings approach. We're not about that here today. We're about the feminine Reiki lineage I founded through Japan and through the energy of Kuan Yin in 2008. I've had many students attuned to the feminine lineage or the feminine vibration of Reiki, and it's truly been an awe-inspiring and miraculous experience for all of us. The journey we're on today in this dialogue is to allow you to ask me questions about why the feminine Reiki is different from Usui Reiki. And these questions have come about in response to students who may not have been attuned by me or through my school, the Atlantis Rising Mystery School, but who've come into the training at the level of master or master practitioner, whatever, having come from other teaching schools or other teachers. And they asked me these questions, and today I was very strongly guided under the direction of one student in New Zealand called Fiona from the North Island, and she kept saying, "Carmel, I want more information. I've just discovered the joy and balance that the feminine Senju Kannon Reiki brings. Would you please answer basic, down-to-earth, simple questions?" So we're trying now to allow you to receive some information, Reiki for Dummies, we'll call it our Reiki for Dummies moment. Not that you're dummies, but just to make it simple, because when you teach and work with something for a long time, you can become very esoteric about it. Firstly, the word, feminine Reiki. What is it and why is it different? Feminine Reiki is the challenge to us all to embrace the mother and to honor the mother in a teaching modality that comes from a sacred feminine mountain, Mount Karama, Reiki's birthplace. Having taught Usui Reiki full-time professionally, making a livelihood out of it, a full-time livelihood, mostly, I was guided to discover within myself the feminine aspect of it. It must have a mother somewhere in its form. And that led me to my own inner working with Kuan Yin, who appeared one day in a healing training, and she simply said, "Look, I'm here to be Reiki's midwife." And that seemed very loving and real to me, and it made the attunement with this man very, very, very easy after the rather laborious attunement he'd had at Reiki level 1. And once I just brought Kuan Yin in the attunement, mentally attuning to her, she seemed like a very gentle midwife. I kept doing this probably for about a year, and then suddenly there was an epiphany within me. I had taught and I had founded the philosophy of the Divine Feminine, and I wanted to find Reiki's birthplace. I wanted to find Mount Karama. Where was it? How far in Japan was it from the major cities? So I was very lovingly guided to find Mount Karama outside Kyoto. And I'm very grateful for Adrian, who enabled me to help the creation of getting to Mount Karama, Japan, and he'd had many trips and was a student of the energies. I arrived in Mount Karama, having stayed in Kyoto, the sacred ancient city, and it's not a long way, only probably about nearly 3/4 of an hour from Kyoto, and on a private pilgrimage, a private study tour. I was on the search to at least honor Dr. Usui in the form of it coming through on the mountain. I stayed in pilgrimage on the mountain for nearly a week, absorbing the natural energies. And after a couple of days of deep meditation and reflection and energetic downloads, I received a communication from Dr. Usui directly in response to my question, does Reiki have a mother? And who is she? And how could I use a Reiki mother, with your permission, Dr. Usui, to create or perhaps honor the feminine aspect of the nature? We're on a very ancient mountain here. It doesn't have a Reiki profile at all. Reiki is not even known on Mount Karama as a system or any form of acknowledgement. It's in all of nature. So this is a Buddhist mountain. It's a primarily big Buddhist temple and Buddhist mountain, but there's also the Shinto shrines, and I was spending many days in the shrines. Just little makeshift, simple shrines in this most sublime nature, incredible energy. And Dr. Usui, after some days of my meditation in the beautiful, beautiful cedars rustling in the winds, Dr. Usui simply said to me, Carmel, he said, it's quite simple. He said, Kuan Yin is mother of this mountain and she's the mother of Reiki. Go off the mountain and teach with Kuan Yin. And so I came back off the mountain. I came down to Australia, and every morning for 3 months I stayed on a little beach near my home called the Mother's Beach. And I communed with Kuan Yin at dawn and asked her if there would be a way of me being able to consecrate her energy with Reiki, with a symbol. And this happened after a couple of months. I received a symbol before Christmas in the December, and within that a client and student who'd had Reiki training somewhere else in Sydney got in contact with me. She'd been a student of mine in Egypt, and she simply said, what are you doing right now, Carmel, in your work? And I told her what was happening, and she simply said, wow, she said, it's amazing. She said, my mum was a devotee of Kuan Yin, and she said, I really would love to be your first student and take the feminine energy of Reiki. So I was then propelled to earth what not only Dr. Usui had told me, but what Kuan Yin had instructed me to do with a symbol. And I was given the symbol, and I used it in the beginning of her Reiki Master attunement, and I kept the traditional symbols of Usui, because many people, of course, want to stay with the traditional lineage, and this is to be honored and supported, and this is what I do. And I used the symbol over her before, and at the end of the attunement to reattune her to the feminine aspect. She had a very powerful life change. It wasn't pleasant. She had 3 months of massive, important change in her life, and I was very much in trepidation about whether this was really right. I felt maybe something is not right here. She shouldn't have to go through this level of process. But I felt that she was a woman who was a sacrifice for the journey, and she told me, as she was a yoga teacher and a very enlightened and lovely lady, she said, I'm going through it, it's okay, but this is what happened. So I invited her as a student with 5, 6 other very big, strong students of mine who'd had several Egyptian journeys, and this lady had also had an Egyptian journey with me, to come to Mount Karama so that we could all experience it. And I'm so grateful to those students who did this amazing journey with me, and I taught and trained them to the feminine. And then I was given an opportunity to say to them that Kannon, K-A-N-N-O-N, is a Japanese name for Kuan Yin, and we went to the Kannon Temple in Kyoto and saw the beautiful 1,000 cannons in the amazing temple. And the Kannon name came in after the second trip. It became Kannon Reiki, honoring the Japanese name for Kuan Yin, K-A-N-N-O-N. I subsequently took another group, and then the story revealed itself that the esoteric aspect of Kannon was Senju Kannon. I was guided by people in Japan, very powerful healing people, that it would be appropriate for me to use the word Senju, S-E-N-J-U, Senju Kannon. And then the Reiki I teach became Senju Kannon. What is the difference between Reiki as practiced with Usui and Senju Kannon? Really, the difference is the feminine. It's the feminine aspect of the Reiki that makes all the difference to me. I'd like you to experience it in a very beautiful way in this transmission. I have a mother's bowl here, a crystal tones mother's bowl, and I'm sending the Senju Kannon Reiki symbol to you now. So just to let yourself go into a space of reflection, allowance, honouring the feminine force of Reiki, the mother in Reiki. We are calling the mother. The symbol is going to you now, the Senju Kannon Reiki symbol. Just let the energy flow into your hearts as you receive. The vibration is very loving, but it's very earthing. And it is to the earth that we owe our life. And it's a surrender to the divine feminine within you, to your divinely feminine self, to surrender to the Reiki. It is used to complement Reiki, Usui. In my attunements, it's placed, the symbol is placed before each of the attunements and at the end, before we use the beautiful Riku grounding symbol. We introduce it as an opportunity for you to create with Senju Kannon. The training developed under the guidance of the beautiful goddesses through Dr. Usui, who's always present in my Reiki, and he's never taking a back step. He's always a living, amazing presence. I have students who ask me questions like, well, what about hand positions? Why are your hand positions different? I don't differentiate between what anyone should do in teaching any form of position. As far as I'm concerned, the person who's being attuned is under the direct communication with my higher self and heart. I commune directly with their higher selves and hearts. And what happens if I want to put crystals on, play a magical crystal tone sounds bowl, where I'll place the symbols inside the bowl and let the symbols float out over the aura, energy field and light body of the client, or whether I want to rock them, or whether I want to put my hands on their aura, or just on their head, or on the soles of their feet, it doesn't matter. Of course, there are legal requirements about touching body parts, and you'd always be aware of those and not to invade people's boundaries. We're not about that. We're here about giving you, under the direction of the person's, the client, under her directions, higher self and heart, to create with the Reiki. It's not rocket science. It's quite simple. Love is the answer. Within the system that I've created, it's very simple. And we honour the new moon aspect through Kuan Yin, the birth of your new creations. We honour the mature mother full moon aspect through Senju Kannon, and the dark moon aspect through the goddess Kali. The Kali aspect is the triple goddess in Reiki, and as we know through feminine mystery teachings, all aspects of the goddess are one, but they all have their destructive, birthing and full aspects. Within that, that is honoured in Reiki. As I have said, with Reiki, I honour and respect all aspects of the feminine, the Kali, the Kuan Yin, and the Senju Kannon aspect. They're all one, but they're honouring and using those sources. So the Kali aspect will come in through the energy of the client's higher self and heart to help help release, get rid of that destructive self-creative aspect of yourself that may need to be dissolved. The new moon aspect is for birthing new ideas and creations, and then you've got the material mother. And the difference is quite simple. Go with it and feel it. It's subtle, it's powerful, it's life-changing. I have 3 rules in Reiki, only 3. Expect a miracle. Expect a miracle while placing the symbol over yourself and your clients, in your water, on the land, wherever, every day. Expect a miracle. A Senju Kannon Reiki miracle. You'll get it. Give all love and all truth for the intent for the miracle to manifest and be grateful. It's that simple. You're honouring all aspects of life when you are grateful. I'm grateful for what I have, but I would like to have this for my life right now. And I expect the Reiki miracle, the Senju Kannon Reiki miracle to create it. And then, lovingly, I give all love and all truth for the intent to manifest. And there you have it. It's very simple. Let's try and not make things complicated. It's the gift of love from the mother to her children through Mother Earth. And her story must be told. Allow it to be told through Reiki. Any questions that come up can easily be answered through the client, through your higher self. And the client and your higher self will create with the Reiki at any level that you need. Quite simple. Let's not complicate it. I urge you to feel the vibrations through Reiki's birthplace, Mount Carmel, on a teaching tour with me. I invite you to come and have Reiki shares with the Senju Kannon Reiki. I invite you to become a student through the feminine energies of Reiki, keeping in mind you will still receive the traditional attunement. You're only getting the top up. You will still get the Usui certificate with the Lineage. I'm on several lineages. I don't even know how many, but I've been working with these lineages for many, many years. For me, our lineage comes from the lineage in our heart. The true lineage of anything is how your heart works with it. And it is always your heart, and how your heart is able to nurture itself through Reiki. Feminine Reiki is extremely self-nurturing. Dr. Usui Reiki is equally wonderful. This is not better, it's different. It's allowing a different frequency to come through. That's all. And I thank you for your time today. I thank you for allowing yourself the experience of listening to me, and more importantly, listening to your heart. I invite you very lovingly to come and read my websites and my data on my Carmel Facebook. We have a Reiki community that is global. We have attuned Reiki feminine in many, many countries. Feminine Reiki not only in Japan, but also through Southeast Asia, right through Turkey, many, many times in Egypt, in the States, South America and elsewhere, Central America as well. My job is to facilitate the birth of Reiki's feminine heart, and it is to the heart we owe the greatest gift. So I'd like to leave you now with the beautiful message from Dr. Usui himself in gratitude. Keeping in mind, Dr. Usui did not come off that mountain with symbols. He did not come off that mountain with books. The teaching systems came after. Dr. Usui came off that mountain full of fully awakened, intelligent heart. He had his satori, his enlightenment, as the Buddhists call it, his satori on the mountain, in prayer, reflection, and meditation. And to Dr. Usui, we owe the greatest gift. To the Mother, Kuan Yin, Senju Kannon, and Kali, and all the other beings who create with Reiki that we don't even know about. So I thank you from from my awakened intelligent heart to yours, and may we greet and meet without any separation or any barriers to the great journey we can be all together. And this is about allowing ourselves to be from the one heart in making whatever aspects of Reiki feel right for you come alive in your heart. Thank you. All love to your Reiki heart now.